Alright, so I recently finished up Watch Dogs 2, so I thought I would give my thoughts while watching through some pre-recorded chaos I caused. Honestly, the main reason I played this game was because of the GTA 6 trailer. After that trailer, I was just really in the mood for a GTA-like game, just with a fresh setting and story along with it. So my option was either this or Saints Row. Haven't played a lot of either, but Watch Dogs and its sort of hacking mechanics seemed a little more interesting to me, so we went with that. I remember with the first Watch Dogs, like obviously, rightfully so, everyone was really mad about the misleading early marketing they did, to put it lightly. I still wanted to play the game though. I mean, what happened sucked, but it still looked like it could have been a really fun game. And I got it from my old laptop. And I feel like this happened a lot when I was in college, but I would like start playing something like either while I'm at home about to go back for a semester or when I'm in college for a semester about to go home for a break, where I don't know, I would just take a little break from everything and just be in the mood for whatever reason, maybe, what I was doing online or who I was interacting with in real life, where I would be, I don't know what happened there, in the mood for a new fresh batch of games, I guess. And I did go back to Watch Dogs 1, but my laptop eventually just shit itself. Like it wasn't running anything. Like it at first ran Watch Dogs 1 fine, but once it started giving out, it wasn't playable at all. Like overly stutterly. Is that even a word? Stuttering, unplayable. But yeah, I decided to dive into the sequel mainly because I heard the sequel was better. Plus, even though I'd never made it that far in the first Watch Dogs, I figured there would be a little familiarity. This would at least be something completely new and fresh to a certain degree. One thing that's kind of funny, because I almost forgot this game took place in San Francisco, but just Ubisoft is a company that's very hit or miss for me, and it's kind of funny that the last two games that were hits, personally, were both in the same city. The other one being Driver San Francisco that I played sometime last year. As for the game itself, I mean, yeah, the hacking element really added a lot more gameplay options. I almost wonder what it's going to be like going back to a game without that kind of stuff, Especially if I did one after another. It's just really fun to fuck around with. I think they did some fun things with the incorporation of like drones and you can call backup, kind of. I eventually called it the swatting skill because there's one weird side mission where you go after a swatter and they're there talking about how bad swatting is, which, yeah, it is, but I can't really take them seriously with that when I'm using this ability, which is pretty much swatting quite frequently. It's not like there's a side mission in GTA where Nico Bellic is talking about how bad it is that cars get stolen and people get shot. You don't want to hear it from a hypocrite, I guess. Especially, if you're using some of those things heavily during the actual game itself. Actually, with the drones, the one thing I will say in GTA, I never gave a shit about the collectibles around the city. Like those pigeons in 4, I think, that you had to shoot. I forget what 5 even had. I think, wasn't there UFO parts or something? The reward just wasn't good enough for me, and the process just wasn't super fun. But in this game, a decent chunk of the collectibles were fun to collect with, little puzzles with the drones. And you got decent rewards too, like money, new outfits, new experience points or whatever to upgrade your hacks. I will say I did get fatigued of some of it because there were some that were just kind of out in the open, and I don't know if I was being stubborn and just should have taken a little break, or maybe I just got really unlucky and was getting, some of the less fun collectibles all in a row. But I don't know, it felt like rinse and repeat, go to location, call for backup, sneak in, collect the item, do it again. When that happened several times in a row, I think it was sort of towards the end of one session of playing and at the beginning of another, I was just sort of done with it for a little while, but I did eventually go back after taking care of some other missions, and it was fine. I will say I was a little surprised. I wasn't sure how money would be if they would try to push microtransactions, given this is a newish game at this point. Within that era, at least. Luckily, I can't say just with what you get in game. Like, I was able to buy all the outfits. I got the weapons I all wanted. I bought out one of like the 2 or 3 car dealerships, and I got at least a little something from the other 2. And like I said, I could have managed it differently or grinded a little more. You may have noticed the blue highlights around people. That sort of signifies a decent money drop. Oh, I remember this session. It gets embarrassing. I die very stupidly. One thing with my session after this, though, I want to note while I'm sort of on the subject, is it got weird. I don't know if it's a glitch. If it's not, I would say it's a major problem. But I got a 5-star wanted level, but the cops never showed up. And like you have abilities to sort of prevent the cops from showing up, but I didn't even use like the mass systems disruptor or anything like that. I was just going around tasing a lot of people, as you do in these games. And it got to the point where I was trying to get the cops to show up. Like I used my swatting abilities on one of the gangs nearby, and they just completely ignored me and focused on each other. Although I wasn't necessarily, I was just curious. I was experimenting, and I was trying to get them to chase me without me doing anything, since I did still have a wanted level with listed. And they, like I said, they just ignored me, focused on the gang. And then I literally stumbled upon the front of the police station, and at that point I wasn't even being subtle. I was just wiping out the entire sidewalk in front of their police station, and still nothing. So I mean, I don't know how it works or whatnot, but I can sort of understand and appreciate, the ability to maybe sneak out of a low wanted level. But I don't know, once you're up to 3 stars and you're shooting people, like even if you use a mass communications disruptor, I don't know, when that's over, I think the cops should come. It's just kind of weird because with all the games that have, wanted levels and shit, I don't know if I've ever experienced the glitch of the cops or whatever not showing up. Oh yeah, this is, I was not hitting, and there we go. Yeah, that was embarrassing. But yeah, something else I wanted to talk about was sort of the tone of the game. Because I knew they took a lighthearted approach more. Because I know one of the complaints with the first game is maybe it took itself too seriously or whatever. And I don't know, I wasn't prepared for them to go as lighthearted as I felt like they kind of went with it. And I don't know, it just didn't gel with me a lot. Like, I feel like there's a lot of games, like GTA is a great example, but many others. Here's that taser spray starting that I was talking about. But, oh yeah, that was another thing too, because you may have noticed I was fucking around with the controls because I forgot I didn't have a handgun available, so I was wondering why I wasn't able to shoot while driving. Shows you how often I was doing that. I was mainly during missions and other stuff, hacking and driving. But yeah, there's many other games that I feel like really do such a great job of mixing humor with their serious tones, with their characters and world, and I don't know, I just personally didn't enjoy the way they went with it, if that makes sense. Yeah, because I actually just realized, because it wasn't in my driver video, I think I had a little gameplay from the Golden Gate Bridge too. Can't compare the two, I guess, but I will say they did have some interesting ideas for side missions. Actually, the one side mission I was kind of proud, because I'm just not good at spotting pop culture references. I forget the name of the guy, but I was able to tell what they were referencing. It was like that one doctor who raised the prices of a essential medicine for certain people. or I don't know if he was actually a doctor. I think he may have even just been involved with the pharmaceutical industry, but he was also known for buying a music group's album and trying to keep it to himself or something. I don't know the full story, but I was happy to notice, oh, I see what they're doing here with that particular side mission. And there was another one. The side mission itself wasn't really that great, I felt like, but I kind of liked the sort of fourth wall breaking premise of trying to hack into a game studio and leak a trailer. I can appreciate what they were going for, I guess. I probably should have given a spoiler alert earlier if you didn't want to hear about some of the more interesting side missions. But I'll give another one right now because that's kind of the last thing I want to talk about. Is, just a couple small things from the story. So, the one thing I kind of felt was kind of interesting and maybe some missed potential was the character Horatio. Because I don't know, they always made him, I feel like, the odd man out. Like when you were going through the game and the missions, I felt you were interacting with the other characters a lot more, and he had like one focused set of missions with him. Granted, he dies in the story, so I guess it makes a little more sense, but at the same time, I felt like these missions were earlier where you probably didn't make it up to his death at that point. So, I don't know, I guess something felt a little weird there. It would have been nice if he got a little more time before his death. I was wondering if he was going to wind up betraying you or something instead. Surprisingly, I don't think there was really any of that with this game, now that I think about it. That seems to be a common arc in different, bigger stories. I will say with the final mission, too, there's mild missed opportunity. They let you play as some of the other characters in the group, but Josh and... Fuck, I think I already forgot his name. I think he's in the first Watch Dogs, the big beard. Damn, I can't believe I already forgot his name. I only stopped playing, like, earlier this week. I don't think I can really remember. I remember the other guy's name was Wrench. Honestly, probably the only reason I remember Horatio's name is because I had a note to talk about it. I don't think I remember. Centaura, I think, is the girl's name. Ray is the name. I guess that goes once again to show how much of an impact the story had when it's already slipping out of my head. But kind of disappointed they didn't have their own little sections too, for the hell of it. Because they even did sort of different style missions for them too. So I don't know, they could have. I think Centaurus was kind of a mix of hacking and parkouring, so maybe they could have split that up for Josh or Ray and maybe have a driving mission with the other one or something as part of the final mission. A driving section, I should say. And yeah, here's that 5-star one level I was talking about. But I think that pretty much sums everything up. It's definitely fun for what it is. I think there is definitely room to improve in the future. From what I heard, Legion seems to have been, some steps back with its own issues, but definitely interested in finally eventually going back to the first game and seeing if they do a more, I don't know, is Legion a spin-off? Like if they sort of go back and just do 3, even if Legion was meant to be mainline, I think it went over mediocre or bad enough to where they might just ignore it to begin with. But yeah, I guess we'll see.